Yeah, I'm Jason Adkins. I'm the Director of Development for the Ohio Valley Educational Cooperative, which is in Shelbyville, Kentucky, just outside of Louisville. I'm the Director of Development. I've been in that role for 3 years. This is my second time at OVEC, actually. I worked there for about 8 years before going to a large school district to work, and I've come back now with a little bit of a larger role. I used to be just the grant writer, but now I'm the Director of Development. I like to say that the grant life chose me. So I was at a university, I'd graduated. It was the University of Tennessee at Martin. So it's in West Tennessee. And I had a friend in administration, and he was looking for a grant writer. And I was an English major, and I'd won some writing awards on campus. And so he thought, well, you can write. Why don't you just become our grant writer? And of course, we learned that year that it's much more than writing. Writing's certainly help, but it's a lot more about like the project management skills and meeting deadlines and working with others collaboratively. So that's how I got into it. Is I just had a friend that was looking for a grant writer, and he thought I would be a good fit for it. And I did that for a year at that university, and then I went on to a different area to be to work on my graduate degree, my master's degree, and
Mhm.
I ended up finding a grant writing job pretty soon on after that move. So it was maybe 6 months later. I was like, I could use a full-time job. So that's how I ended up at OVEC. It was the first place I applied to, and I got lucky to get it. I really enjoy the work. Like it's extremely detail oriented and there's a lot of research involved and those things really appeal to me. So I like solving problems and it feels a lot of times like you are working on a puzzle and you're putting together different pieces and it just takes a lot of strategy and deep thinking and I enjoyed that part of the work. I also had some pretty big successes early on, so that, you kind of get addicted to it. Like if you get a grant, you're like, yeah, I wanted to keep doing this. Uh, It's funny, they think that it's all about the writing, and so that's what they'll kind of gravitate toward. They think that like I'm like an author almost, that I'm working on these really complex pieces of work. And what I'm focusing on a lot of the time is like making my writing more simple and easy to understand and engaging. So I'm always looking at the grade level writing, like the reading level of what I'm writing. And I'm aiming for something like a high school level writing so that it's really accessible and easy to read. And that's something I've had to learn over the years. Like when I first started, I've gone back and looked at some of those first grants and it was like I was writing a master's thesis or a doctoral dissertation. Like the writing level was really complicated. But just, the reality of it is the people that read our grants, they're really busy and they have a lot of other responsibilities. And then they have a stack of 12 grant applications on their desk, and a lot of them are similar and complicated. And so I'm always striving to make my writing easier to read, easier to digest. I'm often thinking of myself as like a marketer. Like, how do I reach people, engage them, and interested? I think that usually helps my chances. Right now, I actually have a staff that work with me on these projects. So I have a full-time grant writer and also have a full-time fundraiser. And I really love seeing them succeed. And I try to give them credit, for anything that we do. It's just really a joy to be able to share in that together. It is hard if you are doing this work alone. Like if you're the only grant writer in an organization, you feel like you carry, a lot of the responsibility. And when you don't get something, you feel like you take a lot of the blame too. So it's really a joy to have a team and to share credit with them and sharing the success and encourage them and brag about them to my boss and other people that I know. I really love that. I've hit the lottery with mentors. It's just the way it worked out throughout the years. But where I started here at OVEC, there had been a grant writer for a long time here. She'd been doing it for 20 years. So she showed me the ropes initially. And then along the way, I've gotten to work with people on some projects like Donna Rogers. She worked at a similar organization in Kentucky, just in a different location. And she and I worked on some grants together pretty early on in my career. So I got to learn from her and take some things from her. And then for a while, I worked for Becky Crump at Jefferson County Public Schools, who's a well-known grant writer. I learned a lot from her too, on the grant writing side, grant management side, but also as a boss. She was a great boss. I learned a lot from her, like how to support grant writers, to try to lighten their load, to encourage them, celebrate their success, help them get over when they don't get a grant, help them work past that. So, yeah, I've just been really, really fortunate. I don't know if others have that kind of opportunity, but if you have some mentors around, take advantage, learn everything you can from them. I think that working for a couple different employers really helped me. So I started at OVEC. Well, I started actually at a university and then full time at OVEC. And then I went to a school district, Jefferson County Public Schools, which is one of the 30 largest school districts. And then I came back to OVEC. And each one of those jobs had a different set of responsibilities and tasks. And that's really crucial because you'll learn new sets of skills as you face new challenges. And along the way, there were a few times where someone came to me with a funding need and I couldn't find a grant for it. There was some, I just couldn't find the right opportunity. So that taught me that some fundraising skills, and I had to kind of learn those on the fly. And now that's a major part of the work that I do is not just grant writing, but also fundraising. So if you have the opportunity to work for some different organizations, whether that's with your main job or even with some freelancing opportunities, you learn new grant opportunities, you learn new fundraising skills, you just learn new strategies, and those really help you along the way. Yeah, the major thing, the first thing that really helped me was the Grant Professionals Association. I'm not just saying that to kiss up to you, Barb, but I've really met some great people through GPA, especially in our chapter, the Kentucky chapter. A lot of people that I still work with on some projects and I've gotten to know over the years. So that's been a great experience. I think the camaraderie is what most people love about GPA. Is like when you find there are other people like you out there, it's just really awesome and empowering. But yeah, the annual conference has been a big part of my professional learning over the years. And then our chapter events have been helpful too. And then on the fundraising side, I really just tried to tinker with different things. There were some online trainings that I did just because I needed to learn quickly. The fundraising standard was something that I did. I've gone to the nonprofit storytelling conference once before. That was helpful. And there's some local organizations that are similar to like the Kentucky GPA chapter, but for fundraising. And those two have had, I've made some good relationships there. So anything that introduce you to other professionals to learn their perspective and what they're doing, I think can help your work. I would definitely encourage you to try something new. And it might be in your current job or it might be moving to a different job. But you have to try different things out. Like it's so easy as a grant writer to get into a rut and apply for the same grants every year and do the same reports every year. But you need to find a way, either in your current position or going to a new one, where you get to try new things. Maybe applying for a grant you've never applied for before that's really competitive, so you can see what that process is like and get that feedback, even if you don't get the grant. Trying to be a grant reviewer is one thing that helped me quite a bit. I reviewed for some state agencies and some federal funders, and that was a new experience that taught me a little bit more about those that actually read our grants and how I can help them with my writing. Or even, if you need to go to a new organization that has a little bit of a different focus where you apply for different grants, it just fills out your knowledge and your background and your perspective, and can make you better at this work and really help you help more people.